Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fully Charged News Show. I've got a couple of really exciting stories to start with. One I think is just tells us everything we need to know about the way electric cars have developed. So Tesla have recently released data on the ranges of their battery packs. And I'm not talking about the range on one charge, I'm talking about the range over their lifetime. Yes, as some have speculated, Tesla battery packs do lose capacity, up to 10% of their capacity after 200,000 miles. Now, I don't know about you, but I do tend to drive quite a bit. I generally cover about 20 to 25,000 miles in any 1 year. Now, that is way above the national average, so I might lose 10% of my Tesla Model 3 battery pack in 8 years. The average motorist in the UK travels under 10,000 miles a year, and that's according to the government and insurance companies. So they really know how far people actually drive. So a Tesla Model 3 might lose 10% of its battery capacity for them after 20 years. Now, how many combustion engine cars would last 20 years with no engine servicing? I think that's a decent question. I'll tell you how many: none. We now have concrete proof that the battery will outlast the car that it's fitted in. And from battery packs to abandoned coal mines, there's an obvious connection there. Now, we recently featured ground source heating on the Fully Charged Homes series, and here's a story from The Guardian that really caught my eye. Old coal mines, they're really deep, and the temperature at the bottom of these old pits, these abandoned pits, is very, very warm. Well, Seaham, which is a town on the UK's northeast coast, has a long history of coal mining, but the last pit closed back in the early 1990s. The idea behind this project is very, very simple. Former coal mines are really deep, as I've said. I just keep going on about how deep they are. I mean, the one in this story sinks down over 1 kilometre, and over time they get flooded, and the water needs to be pumped out and cleaned to stop it contaminating drinking supplies. Because coal mines are kind of dirty, even though we dug up clean coal, as I've been told many times. Now, when it's brought to the surface, it's been warmed, just because it does. Down deep is warm. It's warmed by the earth. And in the case of the Dordon pit at Seaham, it's warmed up to about 19 to 20 degrees centigrade all year round. Now, under the plans they're implementing there, heat pumps will increase the temperature to around 55 to 60 degrees centigrade, warm enough to be piped into homes and provide a constant source of heat and hot water. The entire process would produce almost no carbon and be a steady stream of cheap, reliable heating for homes, schools and businesses in the area. I mean, I think that's just fantastic use of what's already there. No one's had to dig a hole or drill a hole or anything. It's already there. You may as well use this. It's stories like this that I think are as important as a new electric car. But now some breaking news, really important news that I just need some help explaining. Fully Charged outside is going to be absolutely enormous. I need some help comprehending what's going on. So I'm now joined by my esteemed colleagues, Helen Chesky, Jack Scarlett and Dan Caesar, to discuss Fully Charged outside, which is going to happen this year on September the 3rd, 4th and 5th. I got the dates right. Dan, I got the dates right. And what is really shocking is when we worked out how long it's been since we did the last one, which is 27 months ago, Fully Charged Live, we did the last time in the UK at Silverstone, and 19 months since we did the live show in Austin, Texas, which is crazy. That's a long time we've been waiting to do this.
It's been a long, long time.
That's the man who was suffering through the waiting. But what has been good, though, is that there's been plenty of bad things going on, but just looking at the world, people have been asking questions about how we do things. And like that kind of reset does give you an opportunity to give different answers. It's like people are actually going, well, do we need to do it like that? And actually you've got, and I'm finding that I'm quite optimistic about that potential for change.
I mean, and also we've just got to learn to, this is the world we live in. We've got to learn to live with it. We've arranged everything so it's outside. You know, we can keep our distance from each other. You know, I think it's going to, there's so many things going to be there. There's so much going on at the show. It's going to be extraordinary. It's like double the size of the last one we did at Silverstone. It's terrifying. What you've done, what you've unleashed on the world done. I blame you. It's all your fault.
I do regret it, actually. It's become a bit of a monster in its own right, but we can't wait to be there. And obviously the channel's about far more than cars, but there are so many cars there Jack, are you excited about that?
100%. I think we've got over 100 cars booked in, and this is the funny thing, we've not done this for 2 years, so you would think that maybe we'd just like ease ourselves back in with a mini show, but no, we've doubled down because there's twice as much stuff to talk about as there was 27 months ago. So we've got over 100 cars on display, all the big hitters. We've got the Polestars, we've got the VW ID cars, we've got the Teslas, we've got a couple of UK debuts, the Nissan Aria on display in the UK.
I've never seen one.
For the very first time. I've never seen one.
No, the first time we'll see it is at the show.
100%. And my favourite thing about this, as we all know, the best way of converting people to electric is to let them have a go. It's the best way. And almost all the cars that are going to be on display at Fully Charged Outside will be available for test drives. So if I were a punter, I'd get there nice and early and book myself in a bunch of different test drives.
But it's not just the cars, is it? Because even those of us who are bicycle riders who like the small stuff, there will be a two-wheel test track. To think about that, two-wheel test track. So e-bikes and scooters and motorcycles. So other people get to try things even if you don't have a driving license, which is I'm all up for that. Like I think. Again, there are things, especially e-bikes, people just don't really believe it till they try it, and they do. And some of these, these little scooty things, you can imagine the streets of the future, and it's like stepping into the future, isn't it? Come to Fully Charged Outside and step into the future, get a taste of what it's going to be like.
I completely agree. I, for one, am planning on zipping around the entire show on an electric unicycle at all times.
You're going to be a menace. You are going to be a menace.
I'll wear
I
lots
can
of high
see that
vis,
now.
it's fine. I have an air horn as well.
Health and safety. I mean, one of the other great things is going to be how much clean energy we've got on display there as well. So things that Robert loves, like batteries and solar and chargers. But also now with the IPCC report, loads of people are thinking about how they heat and power their homes as well. So lots of things like heat pumps and technologies like that as well. So
heat batteries.
Heat batteries.
I
can't wait.
I know.
So the big stuff as well, like the Arrival electric van, which has been on lots on Fully Charged. I've never seen one. I've just seen these videos of this thing, and it looks amazing. But are you sure you're not just fibbing? Does it really exist?
It really exists.
Thing?
I've actually driven it along a car park.
And there's a Volta truck as well.
The Volta e-truck, which is proper big truck. That's great. Just sit in them. It's got a cab in the middle. I mean, you sit in the middle. You don't sit at one side. Such a clever idea.
We've also got a packed schedule of talks every day on the main stage, on multiple different stages.
There's more than one stage, and I think, Dan, you've got some breaking news about the stages.
I have. There's going to be 50 different sessions across the 3 days, hosted by some
all
fantastic...
By all of them. We're just going to inject Red Bull into him.
Not this time. Fantastic presenters. Also, we've got Maddie Moat and Andy Taub, and a couple for me. Sorry about that.
No, that's good.
But what we're doing is we're doing slightly differently this year. We've got 2 big theatres, the Giga Theatre and the Mega Theatre. But one thing we've been doing is working out how we can run the show the best and what's going to be best for audience atmosphere. So the show is almost entirely outside, but we're actually going to move the big Giga Theatre indoors. And don't worry, the ceilings are huge. It's a massive venue. It's got state-of-the-art ventilation. And we've also got big screens outside as well. So if people don't want to come into that space and they want to watch it on the screen, they can do that too.
I mean, it's impossible to exaggerate the scale of this room, because you go, oh, it's inside, it's in that room over there. You think room. No, this is, I mean, you could park several very large aeroplanes in it very easily and have plenty of room. It is massive. It has its own atmosphere, so it is basically a massive aircraft hangar. It's really huge.
It's another planet. Is that what you're saying?
It's actually an indoor planet.
It's slightly smaller than that, but it is huge.
It is very
to your point. And then also we've got other things going on. Like on day one, we've got the Fully Charged Business Day. And so we've got some fantastic speakers, because we think it's amazing to show people who work for businesses what's going on with electrifying their fleets or clean energy in general. So we've got the peerless Michael Liebrick doing a keynote at the start of that day. We've got some great sessions. We've got an exiting keynote from Patrick Beon at Arrival, peering into the future of transportation. And then we're also going to announce the winner of our Fully Charged Cities program as well. So that's on the Friday. So there's lots, if you're in the business of clean energy and transport, that's a great day to come on as well.
How about you, Jack? The talks, what are you looking forward to with the talks?
I think the one I'm most interested in is actually Day 1, Talk 1, which, and I'm going to butcher the title, it's called something along the lines of How Far Ahead Are Tesla and Can the Rest Catch Up?
Yes.
Because that's a narrative that I'm intrigued by in the auto industry. This idea of you've got this standalone maverick company pulling out a huge lead, and now these 100-year-old behemoths are kind of starting to actually get their acts together. And it's going to be fascinating to see whether sort of the little guy can maintain his advantage, or whether it's just an inevitability now that the bigger companies are just going to close that gap and turn Tesla into their battery provider. I don't know. I really can't wait to hear that one. What about you, Dan?
Can kids change the world? That's the one I'm really looking forward to. We've got a session being hosted by Maddie Moat, which is all about young people, because their attitude is all about pester power. When are we going to get an electric car? Why do you need to fly? You know, can we turn the heating down? So we're going to actually hear from some much younger people than us on their views on all of these things. So I'm really excited about that.
I think the thing I'm looking forward to is the batteries one. You know, I know I'm obsessed, but bear with me. So our batteries, ethical, sustainable and recyclable, you know, those are such critically important stuff that we don't just perpetuate the mistakes we've made in the past with, you know, extracting fossil fuels, leaving a mess, just leaving this horrendous mess for who to clear up? I don't know, you just leave it. You know, so we've got to move on and be able to use the materials that are in a vehicle like this, you know, use them again. You know, you've had a look at battery recycling. It's such a critically important thing, and where those materials come from in the first place.
Very much about the stuff going round and round, and the things I'm looking forward to are sort of off that at the big like conceptual end. There's all this amazing new science, you know, in the times even during lockdown. There's new stuff about fusion and battery technologies and hydrogen, and there's like these cutting edge new bits of science. But along with that, so I'm really keen on those sessions. But also I like that there's a session on public transport and just how we share vehicles and just a different way of organising how we get around it. So there's those little things and these great big concepts, and I love that contrast between those two. So the thing I'm telling certainly all my friends, and I will be telling everyone on Twitter, is bring your skeptical friends, because we all hear it, right? We all hear it. That can't possibly exist. No one could do that. That's just, you know, science fiction. You're like, no, it's here. Can you come and look at it? So bring your skeptical friends, because seeing is believing, and there will be a lot of seeing, right?
Seeing and trying as well. Get your hands on it. That's the game changer, I think.
Yeah, bring your grumpy uncle. That sounded like a grumpy ankle. Bring your grumpy ankles and your grumpy uncle.
Above all, though, we can't wait to see our audience.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between comments on YouTube and actually seeing
people.
Real, live
Real people.
People. We can't wait. It might get quite emotional. And also, I think I should say, for everyone who bought tickets months and months ago, and all the companies that have supported us, and
LV. I mean, LV have stuck with us for this entire time.
Supported us. Yeah. A huge thank you to all of you.
Yeah. So don't forget to book your tickets and come along on the 3rd or 4th or 5th, or indeed all 3. Some people are coming, of September at Farnborough International, where there's public transport to very near, and there's going to be the Tesla Owners Club are doing the thing, you know, where they pick you up at the station and drive you there. There's food. There's going to be actual food, because we did run out of food on the first episode, the first ever Fully Charged Live. We ran out of food a bit for a short time. There's a bit of a panic, but there will be food, and there'll be atmosphere, a lot of atmosphere, because it's outside, and it's going to be lovely in September. It always is.
I can't believe you just said that out loud.
I know.
Touch wood, someone.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's a beautiful sunny day today, and the forecast was rubbish. Anyway, Jack, you've got another couple of little news stories, which I just think are great.
Yeah,
Tell
a couple of extra
those.
little bits and bobs to finish us off for today. The week after, potentially the day after our live show, I'm going to be skipping off to Munich to go to the Munich Auto Show, formerly known as the Frankfurt Auto Show, but they've switched it up this year. And there's a couple of very special cars that I'm looking forward to seeing over there. Actually, the main reason, one of the big reasons that I'm going is because we've been trying for how long, Dan, to try and get our hands on a Dacia Spring, the entry-level affordable electric car. It's gone down like a storm in Europe. They're thinking about bringing it to the UK. We're going to go over there and have a go in one.
Oh wow!
Hopefully, because I've just always wanted to have a go in that thing. It is the entry-level cheap EV. It looks fantastic. That's one thing we're heading over there for. Another one, among many very posh, expensive new electric cars that will be unveiled at the Munich Auto Show, the Electric G Wagon.
So the G Wagon is the kind of German Land Rover, but it really is, in a way, the most offensive car with a combustion engine, because it's such a huge engine.
It's so unapologetically obnoxious.
Yes, it is.
And most of them are spec'd with big honking great
huge
V8s.
exhaust
And I think it would just be the coolest electric car in the entire world. So we're going to see a concept of that at Munich. That's very exciting. Another news story, completely separate to that I want to talk to you guys about, which is completely unrelated to that, is there is currently a program in place to design the iconic British EV charger. So obviously we like our iconic bits and bobs in the UK. We've got our red buses and our phone boxes and our black cabs. Well, what does an iconic British electric car charger look like.
So this is the kind of housing that you put the charger in, the box, if you like, on the street.
Exactly that.
Right.
So the government have commissioned the Royal College of Art to come up with some ideas and designs. These are going to be unveiled later this year, and potentially before the end of the year, we'll be seeing these begin to pop up on our streets. I love the idea of a really quintessentially British and quirky looking EV charger beginning to become a common sight.
Is this going to be like an EV charger with a little umbrella over it or something?
I quite like that idea.
And a cloud.
A little
an umbrella that
with a
comes
brolly.
up when it rains, an auto umbrella,
just
just opens there, and then a little hand comes out and there's a cup of tea.
I've heard a few good suggestions already. There's been talk of sort of like
Surely
a little,
it's got to be a teapot. You pour it out, your
and they can sort of pull the
electricity
cable
pouring
out
out
the
of a
spout.
teapot.
That'd be quite good. Maybe a little AA battery, or I've heard a lightning bolt discussed, which we would all be very okay with because that's basically free advertising for us. I'd be very interested to hear from our audience in the comments. What do you think the British electric car charger should look like? Be nice. Be nice.
Be nice. Well, it's also, I mean, even things like Doctor Who, the TARDIS is what, you don't see those around, but that, when I was a kid, that was a very common sight, the blue police box. What was it? It was so they could have a telephone. They had a telephone in there. They don't really need that anymore. But, it's that sort of iconic image, isn't it? The phone box, the post box, all those things are very... So if someone could capture that, I think basically it's got to be made of cast iron. It's got to be massive and heavy.
Solid British engineering.
It's got to be very solid because, phone boxes didn't fall over when there was a breeze.
Oh,
they were very, very solid.
They throw in a couple of comedy ones. So I'm sure there'll be a very sensible, very sleek design, but what you want is just the fun ones that we're never going to pass the government, the civil servants. Let's just have just stick one around. No one will notice. Just stick a fun one round the corner. I think we should have that. It could be like a spotting game. You go out and spot the charger. Collect the set.
Yeah.
Collect all the weird chargers.
The
I think
I
this is a
Spy
great
charger.
game for the British public. Cheer everyone up after the pandemic.
EV charger spotting. Collect them all.
Exactly.
100%. So I'm excited to see
Listen,
those.
physicists are the best company at dinner parties. I can't even tell you.
On that wonderful note, that's all we've got time for. Please do come along if you can. If you're in the UK and you want to come along, it's going to be amazing. We're really looking forward to see you there. I think that's it. As always, if you have been, thank you for watching.
Don't forget our great EV giveaway. Subscribe and enter for the chance to win one of several electrifying prizes, including one of 4 electric cars.